Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I can see the participants. We've just opened it up, and I can see the participants coming in now. So we will give it 1 extra minute for people to join. But before we really get into the presentation, my name is Timothy Marshall, and I am a product manager here at Dbvisit. And I'm joined here by my colleague Shalini. Shalini is one of our product specialists, but do you want to give a little introduction about yourself, Shalini?
Oh, thank you, Tim. Yes, I'm a product specialist at Dbvisit. I've been here for almost 7 years now. My work mainly focused on providing DR solutions and implementing the DR solution on the customer environment and providing technical support, troubleshooting, as well as testing our product to make sure that it is of good quality. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, Dbvisit, we're pretty unique that we have the same team doing all of our customer deployments, customer support, as well as all of the testing of our software. So Shalini really knows the insides of our product as well as the customer experience as well. So, okay, it's now 1 minute past 5, so we will get started. So you would have met VJ or Alex at the OUG in India a week ago. Thank you for coming to our booth. Thanks for interacting with us there. It's awesome. Today we wanted to talk to you a little bit about who we are, what is Dbvisit, how do we enable you to get disaster recovery software and create a really resilient environment at an affordable price. So we have a product, it's called Dbvisit Standby. Basically, this product is like DataGuard for Standard Edition, but it's very, very easy to deploy. It's extremely easy to manage, and it keeps in a warm standby database continuously updated and available for you at any time. So the plan for today is I will give you 3 or 4 slides overviewing StandbyMP for 10 minutes. And then Shalini is going to give you a full demo of the software, diving into how it works and how it's set up and used. So by the end, you will have this really good understanding of a tool you can use for Oracle Standard Edition disaster recovery. All right, let's dive in. If we can go to the next slide. Okay, great. So our company, we're Dbvisit, and we have been doing disaster recovery for Standard Edition for 20 years now. We were founded by a founder who basically had real big troubles experiencing scripting, scripted standby databases, and wanted to deliver something better for DBAs. So we're founded by DBAs for DBAs about creating standby databases. We currently have actually more than 1,700 customers in 120 countries. We're 100% global, and some of those are really large firms like PwC, Siemens, a lot of customers throughout India, Tata. And so we're trusted by large firms, but also by small firms, small financial firms, small to medium-sized manufacturing businesses to keep data safe even in the time of a disaster. So how does our solution work? Well, we're database-aware disaster recovery, or a warm standby database for Oracle SE. Oracle SE, unlike Enterprise Edition, it doesn't have that standby database functionality built into it. It doesn't have DataGuard. So it's a real gap in Standard Edition, and we filled that gap by providing a DataGuard-like alternative on Standard Edition. So it's a semi-active standby database, and it's usually deployed at a remote site. So if you have a power failure in your server, in your data center, you can fail over to that standby site, which might be in a different state, potentially even in a different country. So it has its own separate server, separate storage, and it's completely independent. And that's what provides you this really resilient standby database. Importantly, it's 100% copy of that primary. We ship the transaction logs across, and that means it's a one-to-one copy of your primary database, and those logs are shipped and applied. And so we know that the database is at any time it has integrity, and it can be activated whenever you need to. A big point about using this kind of method for deploying a standby is that it's very simple to deploy. So Shalini will probably show you a couple of steps about that, but there are no changes that are really required to your primary database. You can usually deploy, set up the configurations within minutes, and then it takes that time for the synchronization to occur. But you can be up and running within a couple of days. So it's without changes to your system. But the biggest point is we make it very easy. So you'll see in a minute, there is a fantastic graphical user interface where you can do all of this, operate it by, you can control multiple databases at the same time. You get real uptime updates of the status of your standby databases, and you can take actions within a couple of clicks. And if you want, you can do it by the CLI, and we also have a full API as well. Okay, so how does it work? Shalini will talk to you a little bit more into the details here, but we have the production database there on the left. Log backups are automatically taken by the Oracle database, and as those, we detect those, and then we transfer them to a standby database once we've created it. So we will first create that standby database using RMAN, and then we will transfer the logs and apply them to that standby. And so this log transfer occurs whenever that log backup is taken, or, for example, if a log backup isn't created by the primary for, say, 3 hours during a quiet period, we can ask it to create those log backups every 5 minutes at a maximum. So that would mean that your RPO would never be longer than a 5-minute RPO, or you can choose that depending on your network configuration. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 15 minutes. So that's how we are keeping the primary and standby in sync. So we do the creation, we maintain the synchronicity, and you can then perform a failover if you need to. Now, something very important, we are launching this in 1 month's time, and this will be our new zero data loss feature. So this is the first time for anyone to deliver this on Standard Edition, and this will allow sub-second RPO for a standby database in Standard Edition. So this will be synchronizing the redo layer and streaming that to the standby. So you have on top of those transaction log shipments, the archive log shipments, you will have this redo layer that we are streaming. And then when you go to fail over, you have that option to use the redo files, this up-to-date redo file. And that will maintain, in typical situations, it should be sub-second RPO. So something really exciting, really, that hasn't been done before on Standard Edition, and really opens up the use cases for Standard Edition to more applications where there is that smaller RPO required. Some of the other pretty interesting features are we can do one-click DR testing on the standby. Very important if you need to do frequent DR tests for compliance. You can fail over to safe activation points. We have a feature called Intelligent Activate. So you can essentially choose a point back in time where you would like to fail over to if you use a delayed log application. So this is a way that you may be able to prevent things like go back in time before a user error, for example, and unexpected table deletion or some incorrect data that's been put in, or some failure within the database itself. So you could fail back to before that point, even potentially ransomware. We mentioned easy deployment, but I also want to talk about here that we also support a lot of different Oracle technologies. So no matter what type of setup you have for your Oracle database, we most likely support that. That includes databases from 10G. We have many customers still on version 12, RAC, ASM, the new SE2HA, the Oracle Odor box and Oracle KVM. And we also allow deployment on-premise in hybrid configurations, including the Oracle database in OCI and the OCI database as a service, and various other cloud providers. So really flexible about where you want to deploy that, and then you get to see all of that on a single pane of glass, all of those different environments in one view. Shalini is going to talk to you a little bit about switchovers, so I won't steal her thunder on this one. I will let you see that in a minute.
Thank you, Tim.
And here is, just as I mentioned before, there is the user interface on the GUI, but there's also this CLI that you can access, and many of our power users do. And you can also integrate it with the API and maybe connect it to your monitoring tools. Some people even have it connected to AI interfaces. And we also have some ways you can deploy this at scale. All right, so that's a really quick overview, high-level overview of the software. I see we've got a couple of questions there. I will get to those while Shalini is doing the demo. But if you do have any questions, please put them in the chat. Otherwise, Shalini, are you ready? Over to you.
Yep. Thank you, Tim. Okay, let's get started into it. Let me share my screen. I hope you can see my screen now. Yep. Yeah, I hope you all can see my screen now. Okay.
Yes,
What I'll do, I'll just mute I'll just turn off the video for now, and then so that I can quickly go through the demo. So, okay, I have a pre-configured environment ready for this demo. This is a test environment. I have a primary and standby host. On primary database is running, and have SRC on Oracle 19c, and have installed DBV Agent Manager on both the database host, primary and the standby. And the second component is a control center component, which is a web server component that is installed on a separate server. This is because you can manage multiple configurations, DR configurations, not only Oracle. You can manage SQL Server or Postgres through the single pane of glass. Okay, all the configurations can be managed through a single control center. That's why we recommend installing on a separate host. In case if you don't have a separate host, then we recommend installing on a standby host. So what I've done here is I've created a Dbvisit configuration file. It is a file that is required for the Dbvisit tasks to perform, all the tasks to perform. And this I've already configured it. And also what I've done here is I've created the standby database using our tool product itself. So how do we create a standby database? So the main prerequisite for this is your primary database must be in archive log mode, and we recommend force logging being enabled. Once it is done, there is no downtime required for the primary database. So what we do is we take a compressed RMAN backup of your primary of individual data files, transfer it to standby, and restore. All this three-step process is done in parallel to ensure that the database is created in within the specified time specified time, creation time, and reducing the creation time as well. All these three processes are streamlined, and you don't have to do any manual work, but at the end of the task, automatic standby update and observer is also enabled. So when I say it's done in parallel, what I mean is the compressed Arman backup of individual data file. If, for example, if the data file 1 backup is done, it is then transferred. By the time it is transferred, the data file 2 backup is done on a primary. On the standby database, it doesn't wait for all the backups to be done. So it as soon as it gets the data file 1, it starts restoring. And then at the end of the task, we also have what we do is before we also parallelly transfer the archive logs that are generated in the primary database during the CSD task. So if in case of a huge data file, when the archive logs are when it is taking backup, the archive logs are parallelly generated, right? Those are also transferred. So at the end of the CSD task, these archive logs are recovered and recovered to the standby database to ensure that standby database is in sync with your primary. So now we have the standby database ready, and you can see the UI. Whatever task you perform, you can see all the details when you click on the task, all the steps, what it is performed. You can have a quick overview of the task and the steps that are being performed by the CSD task. So now you have a standby database ready. So what you're going to do next to keep it in sync? The next step is to enable the automatic standby update. What it does is this component looks for a new archive logs on the primary. Whenever there are new archive log generated, it immediately transferred to the standby database, and then on standby, it is immediately applied. So what happens, as Tim said, in case if the database is not busy on over the weekend, it doesn't assure a lock switch. What we do is we force a lock switch when there are no archive logs within a specified period of time. Here you can see it is 600 seconds, which is 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, if there are no archive logs generated, we force a lock switch and then create an archive log which is transferred and applied. This ensures that standby is always in sync with primary, and there is a minimum time delay between your primary and standby. So this is about our automatic standby update. And the next, I want to talk about the UI. As Tim said, it is an intuitive UI. You can see the real-time monitoring of both your primary and standby database status. This is done by the observer component, which is integrated as a part of a control center. So it monitors the database status, as well as if the primary is not reachable or standby is not reachable or it is not in a correct state. What it does is it detects that and you'll get an alert in the UI. As you can see here, it is like it says, okay, this time the primary standby database was down. So you can go and check why it was down, or you also receive an email notification if you have enabled it. And also from the UI, you can have a quick overview of how far your standby is behind. All those details you can just check by clicking on a quick log app report. Okay.
So, Shalini, when people set this up, do they usually have the
Mhm.
observer set up to provide emails or Slack notifications or API integrations? How are they usually doing that?
So by default, Observer is enabled at the
Hmm.
end of the CSD task. So it is the customer's responsibility to configure email settings, there is a global email setting that once you configured, you can import it to multiple configuration and send it to individuals that you want them to look into the emails and perform the action. So these are the tasks that you need to perform once a standby database is created.
Okay.
So next, as Tim said, we'll go through a more interesting a task, which is a graceful switchover task. This is a zero data loss role reversal task, which is performed in a controlled environment. So what I mean is this task, this task converts your standby to your primary and primary to your standby in a controlled environment where both your primary and standby must be available. For this task, there's a downtime, and this task takes around 10 to 20 minutes to complete, ideally. It doesn't depend upon the database size, but it affects the database, the shutdown of the database, and other factors that affects the task duration.
Right, Shalini. So when I have pushed this button,
Mm-hmm.
or when I've done it on our test drive, the graceful switchover on that database usually
Mm-hmm.
takes maybe 3 to 5 minutes. But are you saying that for customer environments, it usually takes a bit longer due to the database size and also for them to do some other tasks?
So, Tim, it doesn't depend upon the database size. So,
Mm-hmm.
what happens is one of the prerequisites to perform a switchover, one is a log app report, log app, the
Mm-hmm.
transfer and archive log app must be zero. And the second thing is that during the task, we restart the database. The primary database is restarted a couple of times. And the main prerequisite is the user sessions must be disconnected, the application must be stopped, and all the operations must be stopped for switchover task to proceed.
Right.
So if there are any live sessions still connected, the shutdown of the database takes time. That's what takes time, most of the customer cases. That's why ideally it is 10 to 20 minutes. And the second is during the task, what we do is we create a control file. It is a complex process that happens in the background. Like what we do, we create standby control file backup and as well as a primary control file backup from the primary. It is then transferred to standby, and the standby is mounted with the primary control file. And also we copy the redo logs from the primary to standby, and then redo logs are created, and then the standby database is open in read write. So all this task, the main is the shutdown process and the copying of the redo logs. Once these tasks are done, the switchover process proceeds, and sometimes, as you said, it can finish in 10 to 15 minutes or maybe less than 5 minutes of time. In case something goes wrong, what happens? The Dbvisit switchover task automatically tries to roll back to the original state.
Right.
So, so what scenarios we would use is like if your primary has a poor performance issue due to hardware, or you need a maintenance time to get this hardware fixed. So what you can do is perform a graceful switchover, and where your primary standby is promoted as primary, and users can an application can point and user get connect and work with it. Meantime, when this primary which is converted to standby, you can use that server, fix the issues, and then once the server is back, you can perform a synchronization and then
Mm-hmm.
switch back.
Right.
I'll get to what is synchronization next. So this is a very complex task, but the thing is like the Dbvisit has made it look so seamless, and our customers have been using this for maybe 20 years now, and it is um, I think it's a foolproof process. So next is the synchronization. Meantime, let me just do something. This would be helpful for me to show you the intelligent activation. Mm. So synchronization task. So you have a standby database which is running fine. And if there is a situation that arises where Arca goes missing before it is transferred to your standby database, or you perform a bulk insert, and what happens is like you take a backup of the archive and you need to delete because of the space constraint before it is transferred to standby. And another situation is performing a no logging transactions on your primary database. When you perform these no logging operations, the changes are not reflected in the redo logs to be captured and then archived. So there is some amount of data loss which is happens on the standby database. So in these scenarios, you can run a synchronization task. This avoids you to create a standby database again. You can just run a synchronization task here. You can see it's a single click. You just need to provide a backup location where it takes an incremental RMAN backup of your primary based on a standby SCN number, which is then transferred, restored, and recovered. So all this task performed with so much simple and ease that you can see here. So I can show some of the tasks, but because of the time constraint, I'm not able to do the task because it will take a couple of minutes. But if you want to know if you want me to show some of the tasks in particular, I can, if you have time, I can show you at the end.
Yeah, I think we have a couple of minutes extra booked out at the end as
Mm-hmm.
well. So
Then,
we've got 4 minutes to go here, and then we can stick along for if you have any questions or if people want to see anything in particular, put those
mhm.
in the question and answer, and we'll stay around a little bit longer at the end, and
Yeah.
Shalini can do some of those.
Yeah. The next task I would like to talk about is standby activation. Oh, so in case of an actual disaster scenario where your primary server goes down and goes to an unrecoverable state, and you need to activate your standby database immediately for the business continuity, what you do is perform an activation. This opens the standby database read write mode with the reset log. This is a non-reversible process. What I mean by this is once you activate your standby database, and it is promoted to primary, the link between your old link between the primary and standby is lost. You need to recreate your standby database with your from your new primary. So to avoid this, I mean, this is an actual DR scenario. In case you don't have an DR scenario, but you need to test your standby database whether it is ready for any disaster, and as in most of the company policies or company compliance requirement, they would recommend you to test your standby server, the DR server, in a year of once or twice in a year. In that scenario, you can perform DR test activation. What this test does is it performs a DR testing without affecting your production database. The users and production database can be running. In meanwhile, you can activate your standby database, perform some tests, make sure that it is all working, and then reinstate your database to a standby state, and then synchronize it. So it is done in two stages. First is as you can see, it allows you to, first stage is to take the backup of your primary database, standby database in the location that you specify. It can be an image copy of, if it can be of type image copy or backup sets. And once it is taken, it is then activated. After activation, you can do some test, connect to the database, do some test, and then you have an option called as reinstate. When you perform this option, what it does is it shutdowns the current database which is opened in read write mode, and then it restores the standby database from the backup previously taken. At the end of the step, it synchronizes by applying the logs from the primary. This is one of the popular tests that customers do, and we have customers doing this test, and one of the customer who has this database of 3 TB, and they do this compliance test regularly with the DR testing.
Yeah, that seems a lot easier than actually activating a standby environment or performing a graceful switch over to the environment for your DR testing. That's, yeah, saving a lot of
Yes,
work.
and you can do all this by without affecting your production. So There's no downtime required for your production database for this task. So the last test that I wanted to show is we talked about the activation. So now we'll talk about what is an intelligent activation. This is done when your apply delay lag is set. What is apply delay lag is like when you whenever there are new archologs, it is still transferred to the standby, but it is not applied immediately. It is applied with the delay value that is being set. For example, what I would say is if you set a delay as 6 hours and automatic standby update value to 10 minutes. So in an hour, you will have five archologs, right? Timestamps to choose to the point to activate. So in 6 hours, you will have 36 timestamps of the archologs that you can choose to recover the standby and then activate to that point. As Tim mentioned initially, this is helpful if you perform some accident like human error by dropping a table on primary and you don't want that to be propagated to standby. So when you have the time, when you have this timestamp, you can choose a time just before this action was performed and activate your standby database. So this is a very like this. We have customers who set this value to a day, to a week as well, and they've been using it successfully. So you can ask like if it is set like this, like if in case if they want to activate it immediately, does it take time? Yes, of course. If you are set for a week or day, you need to recover all these archologs before activating, right? If you want to activate with the latest timestamp, then it has to takes time to apply all these archologs to activate. But some cases where what customers do is they have one DR for the RPO and RPO, RTO and RPO with 5 to 10 minutes and another DR with a delay set like this. So they have an option. They have a second standby database. With Dbvisit, you can have multiple standby database for the single source primary, or else you can have a cascade database that is creating a standby from the existing standby. Through these options, they can use the intelligent activate. So let me show you. So currently I have set, you can see the delay when I was talking, I set it to 15 minutes and set the automatic standby update to 60 minutes, 60 seconds. So I have these timestamps. The backups are sent, but it is not applied. I can check in the log app report as well. See that it is transferred, but it is not applied yet. And when I click for the activate standby database, I have these timestamps which I can choose. I can choose one which is 3 minutes before or 2 minutes ago, or I can just click with the latest archilog and then apply and then activate it. So once this is activated, it is as I said, it is a non-reversible process. I need to recreate the standby database. As a process, we disable the observer because the observer monitors the primary and standby database, right? So we automatically do that and disabling of the automatic standby, and then we roll forward to the SCN number, as you can see here. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I can answer as much as I can.
We've got some questions here, Shalini. So I think this is a really good one from Goteti. I have DR set up from one to many, but on homogeneous platforms or single platform. But is it possible to do this for different platforms? For example, Linux 19C and one for Windows 19C database, two Windows. So one would be, yeah, I guess primary is on or standby is on Linux and one is on Windows.
That's a really good question. So with Oracle, we do not support a cross-platform. So you can't have your primary, since it is a binary replication, binary physical replication, both your primary and standby must match in terms of operating system. database version and patch. You can't have your primary in Linux and standby in Windows or vice versa.
Okay.
This is also it's a part of Oracle requirement as well. Like you can't have I think like we support all the database versions and OS that are supported by Oracle, but cross-platform is not supported.
Yeah, this is more of a Oracle
Oracle,
requirement than a
yes,
Dbvisit requirement, right? I
yes,
think this
for
is
the
to
physical replication.
this is to maintain your Oracle support, really.
Is there any other question?
Uh, is there a free license? Yes, there is. So we will provide you. You can go to the website and you can receive a. There is actually two ways. You can run the test drive on our website, or you can, which will give you. We will deploy an environment for you in the cloud, and you'll get to configure all of that online and see how it works. Or you can download our license, which is, I think, a 7 days, 10 days, 10-day license, and you can use that. If you would like support during that time, we will provide you that as well during the trial period. So you get to access our support and all of the documentation. If you would like that license extended, we can also extend the trial license for you. That's no problem. You just need to reach out to our support. And we will follow up by email with some of that information. Shalini, question from you from Rajanish. Can we do Oracle to Postgres replication with this product?
Yeah, sorry. Currently, we don't have that option. As I said, both the database must be of same or like same version and same platform.
Yep. Yeah, it's physical replication, so
Yep.
that's not possible. We can do Oracle to Oracle, SQL Server to SQL Server, Postgres to Postgres within this platform.
Mm-hmm.
Today we were just talking about Oracle, but Oracle to Postgres, yeah, that's very tricky, and usually you would need to do a database migration project or some kind of logical replication.
Replications. Yes, Tim. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, when you mentioned you also manage
Mm-hmm.
RAC, do you mean you provide managed services for RAC as well? My understanding that RAC is an enterprise edition feature, so I wanted to clarify whether you're referring to RAC managed services or something else. Okay, when I mentioned that, Praveen, I mean that if you have a RAC environment, so we are able to support a standby for that. So you may have a rack server, and you can create a standby for that environment, and that standby can also either have rack or it might not. But we completely support those environments, and the same with SE2HA. So we do have many customers with rack environments. We do not manage those environments. Those would still be done using your Oracle tools. And those customers would be using versions 12 when rack was still in standard edition. We now have customers on 19C, 21C that are using SE2HA, and we allow standby creation for those environments. Is that good answer, Shalini? Or
Yep. All good, Tim. Yes, absolutely, you're right. So the rack environments is with from 19C, I think it's an enterprise only edition, but yeah, that's what it is. For standard edition, it is CHA which we support, and even with the rack, even though it is an enterprise edition, the thing is like if you haven't enabled enterprise edition features with the data guard, and if you want to manage using a product, you can still do that.
yeah, absolutely. We Dbvisit, good point, Shalini. Dbvisit has quite a few independent software vendors that we work with,
Mhm.
and obviously the benefit of our software is how easy it is to manage. And we have quite a few ISVs who use Dbvisit Standby on Enterprise Edition. just for the usability, ease of use, and the stability of the product. So that is another option for some people who want to have a singular way to control their DR. And probably even more interesting, now we have the zero data loss feature as
Data
well.
loss. Exactly. So with the new feature, like during the activation, along with the archive logs, you would have redo logs that has been copied from your primary to standby and is kept in sync, and you can apply the redo logs till the point of redo logs. You can apply and then activate it. So minimizing your RTO and RPO, mainly RPO
We
to
have
less
a
than 1 second.
we have a very tricky question here from Praveen.
Mhm.
Can you have your production in EE and standby in SE? If so, how does it work during switchover and failover?
Yeah, that's true. Like, I mean, the enterprise edition, when we mean enterprise edition, is like when you have we have some prerequisites for that to use Dbvisit. If you're having an enterprise edition, then we don't. What we say is I think there's a licensing for some of the parameters that you use. Uh, we recommend to disable those parameters before, like for installing Dbvisit. I think you should be able to do a switchover as long the Oracle versions are same. But with enterprise, I haven't seen customer stories with using primaries and enterprise and standby in standard edition. Maybe I can do one thing. I can just check and get back.
Yeah,
If you have an email address, can you just share that with us, Praveen? Will
I
that be
think
okay?
I think we have Praveen's email address from when he signed up. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, yeah, we'll note that down and we'll get back to you. Thanks for your question. Um, yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so we have another question from Goleti. What's the difference between DGM GRL and the control center, except for the GUI and CLI?
So what is it? DG
DGM GRL.
DGMCR. I didn't quite get the term. What is it? DGMCRL? Do you mean the data?
Oh, data
Uh,
guard command line interface.
okay. And what is the question? Database command. Okay, you're comparing with DGML and the control center. D.
Yes. Yeah. So I know some of the, I think, data guard, what's the difference between data guard and
Mm-hmm.
Dbvisit, except for the GUI and CLI? So the target of our product was initially, is about Oracle SE, really, Coletti. It's about allowing data guard like DR on Oracle SE.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
However, there are a group of people who are using Oracle Enterprise Edition who don't have talented DBAs within their staff, and they need to also have Standard Edition. Have disaster recovery. So the main point for them is one, they should be able to see the status at any time of the standby. So we provide the real time monitoring. You can see what is the state of my standby. You get those real time alerts of the standby state. If there is a problem, we provide a very sensible, very clear to read explanation of what is wrong with the standby. We also have the 24-hour support by Shalini and the team. And
Team.
usually our response time is on average 7 minutes for high priority tickets. So these points, the monitoring, the ease of use with the GUI, and the ease of deployment, these are the reasons, and the ease of troubleshooting, like I just said, these are the reasons some people use Dbvisit Standby. It's not for raw performance reasons, but it's because you get the monitoring, the reporting, the observability, the ease of use, the support. These are the main, and the price is very reasonable compared to the price of an Oracle Enterprise Edition solution.
Absolutely, Tim. As you can see, the switchover or sync task or the creating standby, managing your creating a standby uh, uh, DR standby database and then keeping it in sync. All this are done with if you have we do require a DBS person with a DBA skill, but then you don't have to be a code DBA to manage all this uh, using a product. So it's ease of use, as Tim said. And is that helpful? So sorry, I didn't get the name who asked this question.
This was Goletti. Oh, Gotetti.
Got it. Yeah, okay. So was it about they wanted to know about the difference between Oracle Data Guard and our product? Is it so?
Yes, that was it.
So one of the main differences Oracle Data Guard you have
Oh, Shalini,
the standby is
he's got it now, so
oh okay,
happy.
that's all good.
Yep. Uh, yeah, uh, I think this is most of the questions for today. Let me just check. SE2HA did this one. Licensing.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. One from Anji. Okay. Plan
mhm.
is like the observer node who is going to drive the role management. Is that correct?
Yes, the control center, you can see it is a web server component, but internally, the observer component is integrated with it, and and as a part of it, do you mean like you can add the new users and provide the rules a role for them when you log in? Is that what Angie you're talking about?
So she was saying who is going to drive the role management in a similar way to DataGuard full scale
Ah,
functionality.
role model. Okay, so I'm not
I'm not sure of that
sure
question.
about role.
Maybe we will come back to you,
Mm,
Angie,
data.
on the
Yeah,
Q&A. So I have your
one
name
from
here as
Praveen
well.
and
So I,
Angie. Okay.
I think we can talk to VJ and see if we can work that one
Yes,
out, Shalini.
yes, definitely. Praveen and Angie. But yeah, the good questions and definitely it, gives us um you need some time to think about it and get back to you. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this was great, guys. Shalini, this was fun doing this today with you. Thank you very much for coming on. Thanks everyone who came on and viewed the session today. Please log in to our website, have a look around, dbvisit.com. Please download the trial license. I, as marketing, get bonus points when you download the trial license. Thank you. Yeah, really happy.
One more thing, Tim, do they
Oh,
get
yeah.
to use the test drives? If they could
Yes, they can. So when you
yeah.
go to trial, when you go to look at try for free, you have the option of
Mm-hmm.
downloading or using the test drive. So both would be great.
Yeah, that comes with your pre-configured database and the software installed, so you can try all the tasks that I performed now. And then, yeah, if you have any questions, you can email us, right? Yep.
Absolutely. Okay. Thanks, everyone, and have a great morning.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for joining the call. I hope you had it. It was a knowledgeable session. Hope you had something to take away. And thank you, Tim, for leading this through. Yeah.
Cheers.
Thank you,
Bye,
Erin.
everyone.
Yeah. Bye.